welcome my first guest, a lady that works tirelessly with adults and specialises in working with children to give them help and advice, whatever that may be, using energy therapies. We welcome Suzanne. Suzanne, thank you so much for coming on Cuppa TV.
Thanks for having me.
Wonderful to see you.
Thank
so
you.
before we talk about these lovely dolls that are sitting here beside you, so Suzanne, tell us about Tappy Twins.
Tappy Twins. Tappy Twins was developed a couple of years ago from me working in universities and helping people with personal development. And I realised that I needed to get to the children a lot earlier, so hence why Tappy Town and Tappy Twins was developed. So I developed an online platform which is an actual town with characters to be more sort of realistic and interactive for the children. So the online version basically is to help children when they need it. So if I'm not working in a school, they can get hold of me anytime, for example. But we use the energy therapies to enable them to feel better about themselves if it's just lack of confidence, for example.
Tell us about that. What does the energy therapies mean?
Basically, what we do is, as you can see on these lovely dolls here.
Yes, so introduce the dolls.
Well, this is Tilly.
Yes.
And Tilly is actually my daughter. She will hate me for saying that. Hello, Erin. And Toby is her cousin, Manny. Yes. And basically, the dolls have been produced to enable, if someone's going through quite a lot of trauma, for example, what we would do is we'd get the child to tap on the meridian points. These are called meridian points, which are basically acupunctural points. And the acupunctural points are tapped on, and what we're practically doing is keeping the conscious mind busy while we work with the subconscious mind. Yes. And what we do then is enable them to get rid of all emotional aspects of an issue that's been worrying them. And they're just left with the things there. It's not gone anywhere, but I haven't got any emotional response to it. So they work very, very effectively. And my kids love them when I take them into the schools.
And why Tappy Twins? Where did the name come from?
Well, EFT,
yes.
Obviously, is tapping. So if I call them Tappy Twins, because I wanted them to be a boy and a girl, so that's really where it came from. And as I said, my daughter, it's a very family-orientated business, but also my children in the towns are all the children that I've worked with. So if they do really well, I make them into a character. And then they go into my town as well. So that's why we went with Tappy Twins.
And you work all over the UK?
All over the UK, yes. I personally work in the inner city schools in Birmingham and West Midlands. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And when you go into the schools, what do you actually do? Suzanne, tell us about how it works.
I do one-to-ones, and I work with the children that are most vulnerable. So children that have got issues at home or they've got Asperger's or ADHD. It's 97% effective with tapping. So tapping's a major part of what I do with the children when I'm in schools at any time. And we just work through any emotional aspects that they're going through at the time and make them feel much better.
And you've seen amazing results?
Yes, fantastic results, yes, yeah. I've got people that are self-harming, which is a massive issue at the moment.
We talked about that on another show, actually. Self-harming is quite... Yes, please. Self-harming is quite a big issue at the moment.
It is. It's a very big concern for me. Only last week I was actually wiping someone's arm, unfortunately, where they'd cut themselves several times and not cleaned it up properly. It is a major issue in schools with children nowadays. The pressure of various different things are making them feel that they don't have control, and a lot of people that self-harm, it's just their method of just getting control back. But it is a huge issue, but I've got a lot of children that are no longer doing it anymore, which is fantastic.
And that's from using
EFT, absolutely.
Yeah. And for people who don't know much about it, could you just give us a brief sort of explanation of what it actually is?
Of course, yeah. EFT was founded by Gary Craig. And it's literally tapping on meridian points, which are acupunctural points. There's no needles involved,
yes.
Thankfully. I have got quite a few people who will be frightened of the needles.
Yes.
And what we're doing is literally tapping on these points very gently for a few seconds whilst we express how we're feeling. So, for example, if someone was feeling angry, they would literally tap on the points on themselves or on the doll, depending on how severe they felt at the time. And that would help relieve the emotional things they were having. So I can get a whole room of kids who are just complete meltdowns, and within minutes I can have them all calmed and nice and chilled and happy.
And is it the doll, because explain the reason why the dolls came into play. Obviously you've spoken about them and I get it, but for people again who are watching who think, why can't they just tap on themselves? Why the dolls?
Well, sometimes I will tap on them if I feel that they need additional support. They will tap on themselves, but as I said, if it's something that's very traumatic, to enable us to get the best results possible, then we use the dolls as a surrogate. So literally they're not tapping on themselves. If they're called Peter, for example, so how is Peter feeling? Well, Peter's very angry. And why is he angry? Because somebody's upset him, etc. So they're not dealing with it from a first person's perspective, which means the pressure's a lot less and the results are much better.
So the different points on the dolls relate to different emotions, is that right?
The different points on the body just relate to different parts of the internal organ systems as well. We do obviously mix it up a little bit when we're in therapies ourselves, but when I'm teaching the children, I teach them all how to use positive EFT, which basically what that does is, however they're feeling, I get them to say exactly the opposite. So if they're feeling angry, I go, so what's the opposite of angry? And they'll go, right, calm, for example. So when they're tapping on themselves, I'll go, feeling very calm, feeling very calm, feeling very calm. And literally that works equally as effective as if we're working through the negative issues. The dolls were produced just to ensure that we did have that in place if we did have someone who was going through quite a lot of trauma, so we can look at it from a different perspective as opposed to their own. But on the whole, I use them in training to teach the children, but on the whole, they're just there for major traumas.
And it's adults and children, isn't it?
It is,
you know, so again, do you find that it's effective, just as effective in adults?
Absolutely, yeah. It's 97% effective across the board. And I use it a lot on pain relief for myself as well. I use it every day actually on pain relief. There's nothing that I found that you can't use EFT for. And the great thing is it's drug-free and it's pain-free and it's quick. So it gets results very, very quick.
And the future for Tappy Twins. So how do you see it?
Very exciting.
Yes.
The town is being developed all the time. And what we're wanting to do is get the town so it's 24 hours manned. So basically when children need that support, they've got it. What that would mean is, like with Childline, you contact Childline up and they do an amazing job. I was trained by Childline. But what we do differently is we actually offer solutions at the same time. So rather than them going off the phone and going hurting themselves, for example, we actually make sure that we're doing tapping with them live. So when they go away, they're nice and calmed and they're not going to hurt themselves. For me, I draw on my own personal experiences of childhood, and this is why I've set Tappy Twins up in the first place. So I have great empathy with children that are going through issues, and it's very important for me to just get to as many children as possible because they need it.
And schools and presumably nurseries.
Nurseries,
it
schools.
Doesn't matter what age.
I've even got children who are they'll hate me for saying that. Children who are like 17, 18, 19 who still use Tappy Twins because the online service, it allows them to get access to me straight away. So it doesn't matter really what the age group is.
And why do you think it is so effective?
I think it's effective because, especially using matrix re-imprinting, which is another aspect of EFT, which I absolutely love doing that.
Explain that.
Matrix re-imprinting is I tap on you,
yes,
and you tap on the younger you, which is called an aspect. So in history, back in history, at any one point, you're called an aspect. And what happens then is we give that younger you the resources that you need to actually overcome any trauma that you're going through at that particular moment. So for example, if you've been badly bullied and you're really upset, you would go back to the point where you're really upset, and then you would give that younger you the resources to get over it, and as a result they can move forward and be the people they deserve to be. Which is really impressive, and to see the results is absolutely unbelievably amazing.
And do you find now that people are more open, because to things like this, to the energies, to energy therapies? Do you think people now are looking at those as alternative ways to, as you say, pain relief?
Absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, I've got several friends who have got children with Asperger's and autism, and it's quite quick to give them drugs and calm them down and everything else, but this is a pain-free way of helping them to control how they're feeling. One of the things that's really important to me in any work that I do in schools is that I look at the child and say, look, it doesn't matter where you've been or what you've been through to date, it matters where you go from here, because you are in control of you, nobody else. And that's quite sort of empowering for them to understand that actually, yeah, I can control how I feel. I don't have to be angry. I don't have to feel this way. I can feel this way instead, which is much more effective for them. So yeah, I mean, it gets fantastic results. And I think once people do it and see the results, then they understand, wow, that works. And obviously more and more things are on television. I think it was the Harley Street of last week, wasn't it, or the week before, talking about EFT at Harley Street. More and more awareness is to just get it out there. It's a tool that works, and I'd rather use that than have kids taking drugs and, not doing very well.
And the children that you've actually worked on in the past.
Yep.
Are you still in contact with those?
I am. Yes, I always insist on keeping in contact with them because they all become my children. They're all my babies.
Yes.
Yes, I've got one of the girls that comes to mind straight away. She wasn't actually going to sit her exams. She had mental problems, and her family have got mental illnesses as well, bipolar. And as a result of the work that we've done together, she walked out with 8 A's, 3 C's and a B. And literally the day before, she wasn't going to take her exams. And I'm very much in contact with her, for example.
That's incredible.
And I've just offered another girl a job as well.
Oh,
so I've worked with her. She's a self-harmer as well, and she's gone through not a great time. So it's really important for me that I help as many kids. And if I can help them by bringing them into the business as well, even better.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Suzanne.
Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you. That's great.
Thanks.
We're going to take a quick break now, so come back and join us again in just a second. Welcome back to Cuppa TV. My next guest is Tom Davies, a 16-year-old singer-songwriter from the West Midlands who spent the last 4 years pursuing his passion for music. Tom, welcome to Cuppa TV.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Wonderful to see you. So before you play your lovely song, Tom, let's start. And I mean, you're very young, so you've been gigging for 4 years. Is that right?
Yeah, I did my first gig in a snooker bar when I was 12 years old, and it was the most terrifying experience of my life. But yeah, it was a memorable one.
I should imagine it was. And what did you sing? Did you sing a cover, or was it something you'd written?
Well, I remember doing. I remember being told to do 5 songs, and I don't remember the first 4, but it was really busy in there towards the end. And I remember I was thinking, oh, I don't know what song to do. I wasn't prepared at that point. I didn't have set lists and things. And I remember thinking, oh, I'll do Wonderwall by Oasis. And all of a sudden, the place just erupted. Really? And I went home that night and I just said to my mum, this is what I want to do. I just knew that singing and playing is what I had to
And when
do.
did you learn to play the guitar?
I started playing when I was about 8 or 9 years old because my dad took me to see U2. And I remember being in the car on the way home and saying, I really want to just learn how to play guitar now. And that's how it started.
Fantastic.
Really.
And have you got brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I've got one little brother called Ben.
Lovely.
He's 12.
And is they musical as well?
No, I'm the only musical one in my family.
Are you?
Everyone's about different things. I'm the musician.
But they're very supportive of what you're doing.
My dad and mum drive me up and down the country every single weekend to gigs. So
I mean, where do you go, Tom? I mean,
all
over?
It's all over the place. Last weekend, I was in Worcester twice. I was in Stoke. I've been to London, Manchester, Edinburgh. Just gig everywhere, all over the place. Really.
And do you enjoy doing that?
Yeah, it's special when you've got a really good gig, when you're playing for a few hundred or 1,000 people or whatever, and it's just something about it. You can't get that buzz anywhere else. It's incredible. And
presumably you're building up your fan base as well, aren't you, by doing that?
Well, yeah. Sometimes you'll do a gig and it might be a bit quiet and you sort of get a bit disheartened, and then you'll play a gig, maybe supporting a band or a festival, and it's about communicating with people. You can't expect people to want to come to you. You've got to take down their email address, add them on Facebook, send them free music, and you've got to sort of build up this sort of community of people that enjoy your music.
And do you think the music industry has changed, Tom?
Yeah, it's a really difficult thing because it's so flooded with everyone that wants to do it. Like if you go on YouTube and type in acoustic covers, you'll get thousands of pages of music, but a lot of it is also based on image nowadays as well. Which is also quite a difficult thing to do because sometimes a record label or a scout might not even be looking for a certain sound. They might be looking for a certain image that they can market, and it can be a difficult thing to be with.
So it's quite difficult then as a young musician setting out, because you are only young and you've got to incorporate obviously your schooling as well with that. How do you get that balance?
A lot of it is revising in the car to shows and doing homework early in the morning and balancing your day around, but luckily it's not too bad yet because it hasn't really gotten to a mental stage yet. It's sort of just quite calm where I can do my gigs and my schoolwork. And
your main focus is to become a singer, a professional singer?
Hopefully, yeah.
That's what you'd like to do.
You look at examples like Jake Bugg, Ed Sheeran, James Bay, they're just setting the world on fire with a guitar, and that's what I want to try and do, just try and put my music to anyone.
And how would you describe your music?
I'd say I take it back to sort of the ages of Paul Weller, Noel Gallagher, Morrissey with my lyrics and things. I don't just write love songs and pop songs. I like to write about things that have happened to me, things going on in the world. Like a song to me is you're writing about something that's personal. I can't just sit down and write a song One of my songs I wrote on the bus on the way home from school. One of my songs was written about my uncle when he's going through a difficult time. I've written them about friends, myself, things you go through. Like, it's just...
So just what, or everyday occurrences almost.
Yeah.
And that's where you get your inspiration from.
Yeah, I'm sort of an upbeat acoustic artist. Like, a lot of acoustic artists who play slow music, their music's really good. But when you go into a venue, sometimes people get lost in the music. So I like to play upbeat songs that get people dancing with just an acoustic guitar.
And what would be your dream, Tom?
I've always said this, my dream is to sell out Wembley Arena. I don't know, I don't care if it's the only thing I ever do or if I retire after that, but that's the goal that I want to, I want to sell out Wembley.
And what would you say to other inspiring musicians that are going through the same thing as what you're doing?
Just write music and play anywhere that'll have you. Any gig you can get. Gigs, a lot of people are fussy about gigs and I'm not playing there, there's only 30 people there. But you can't be fussy. You've just got to play anywhere you can and just write songs, because I started off just playing covers all the time, and labels aren't interested in it because it's just like singing karaoke in a bar. They want something that they can market, an original song or an EP or something. So I'd say just write and perform as much as you can.
So again, it's presumably because you never know who might be there, I suppose, in the audience. Is that right?
Well, yeah, that's true. I've had friends that have they've played in bands. One of my friends, Mark, his band were due to go on stage and there was 3 people in the audience and all of his band were like, we're not playing, we're used to playing for hundreds of people. And he said, no, let's just give it a go, it's practice. 2 of those people were working for a massive record label and they got a £300,000 record deal out of that small gig, so you can't be snobbish about it.
That's an incredible story, isn't it?
Yeah.
So again, you really will, you'll take on any gig, presumably for your love of music.
Yeah, well, I just love performing, so even if it's 5 people, if those 5 people are clapping, that's 5 fans to add to your thing or market with or sell a CD to, or it's just, you can't be a snob about it really, you've just got to play.
And when you're writing, Tom, where do you write?
Like I said earlier, I've written a song on the bus. A lot of it's in my bedroom, because after a day at school or a gig or something, you could experience something and it could just be a line someone says and it just sparks ideas in your head. And I remember like days when I'd go to school and I just couldn't wait to get home and just write that song, because you just got it all in your head, you got it planned out.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So it really, it's a whole part of your life, really. By the sounds of it, it really is a whole part of your life.
Yeah, like, all my friends and things, they're wanting to go off and be accountants and dentists, and my mum's sort of like, my son doesn't want a normal job, he wants to be a musician, so yeah.
But they're supportive, as you said. So,
yeah, incredibly. I couldn't wish for more supportive parents.
So how do you see your future, Tom? How do you see it?
It could go either way. I could be in 10 years' time selling out arenas all over the world, or either way, I'll still be performing, even if I'm still performing in pubs, bars, smaller music venues. It'll always be what I do, even if I do have to get a normal job while I'm doing it.
So before you perform your single, tell us a little bit about it. How did this one come about?
I was writing this one about just one of my friends. He was felt like he was just losing a loved one in the terms of drifting away a bit and sort of just trying to get back in touch with someone, if you know what I mean, like try and keep them close to you.
So your song isn't exclusive?
Yeah, this is the first time it's ever been performed on air or on radio or TV.
And are you very excited by it?
Yeah, I'm excited to get this one out. It's one of my favourite songs that I've written, so yeah, I'm great. Like, I can't wait to see the response it gets.
Excellent, that's great. And where can people hear it?
Well, at the moment the EP won't be released until next month, so this is sort of promotion, trying to get a bit of impatience around it, so people can know when it's going to come out and know what sort of songs to expect on it. Yes, absolutely. Excellent. Well, that's great. Well, I wish you all the best with it. It sounds great, Tom. Thank you. So, Tom is now going to give us an exclusive debut performance of his new song, Tell Me. I see you while you're trying to find all of the pieces lost in your mind, and I'm trying to catch you from behind. I see you floating close to the sun, you shoot me away like a bullet from a gun, and I don't even know what you've begun. When the night fades, I'll be all you've got. Underline light shades. I'll be everything you need. So tell me, do you feel it in your bones? Tell me, do you need me when you're on your own? Tell me, is this everything you need? Tell me, do you feel it? Is it real? Is your heart made out of steel? Tell me, is this everything you need? I see you while you're floating away, holding all the things you love to your waist, and I can't even find the words to say. I see you while you fade into dust, trying to find all the things that you lost, but all of these things come at a cost. But when the night fades, I'll be all you've got under light shades. I'll be everything you need. So tell me, do you feel it in your bones? Tell me, do you need me when you're on your own? Tell me, is this everything you need? Tell me, do you feel it? Is it real? Is your heart made out of steel? Tell me, is this everything you need?